My name's Nitin. I'm Bluzelle's Director of Developer Relations. Basically, that means that I hold events like this to try and engage developers with our company. I also do recruiting, we're hiring, and I also talk to our partners, whom you'll hear about a little bit later, talking to the developers about how we work together. So today we're going to be running a hackathon and I'll be your MC. I'd also like to introduce a few of the other folks here in the room. The folks wearing shirts that have either the male or female scientists are, well, the gray shirts are our team here at Bluzelle. I don't expect you to remember this, you can ask them later, but just for now, that's John, Neeraj, Monty, Andrew, and there's Isabel and Rich. Hello. Some of our other team, they work remotely, so they might not be here today, or they aren't here, obviously. They're here in spirit. By the way, this is being live streamed on Twitter, so they're probably watching right now, laughing. Oh. Yeah. And then the two gentlemen in black, these are gentlemen from a company called Red Robot. They're consultants, advisors, partners with us, because we're actually moving towards being more open source, and they're there to slap our hands and tell us when we're not doing it properly, and also consult on the technology. So also I wanted to acknowledge more than just the people here, but also people who've come here from afar. So first of all, Vincent, where are you? Yeah. There he is. So Vincent, if you want to stand up, Vincent is from Portal Network, and Vincent and his team have come from Taiwan. They flew in yesterday?
Yeah. Afternoon.
Yesterday afternoon?
Yeah.
The weather's better than this. Stick around, it'll get better.
Yeah.
So thanks, Vincent. So Vincent and his team came in from Taiwan. Vincent will be up a bit later to talk a bit more. We've also got, the guys from Red Robot. Colin, you came in from Singapore?
Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And then we've got Daniel from Japan. Yes.
And Neeraj.
And Neeraj returned to Vancouver from Singapore. Yeah, so we were busy at YVR this morning. And then we've also got a gentleman named Joey Burgess. He's not here today. He'll be doing a presentation tomorrow at lunch. He's coming in from half Washington, half Hong Kong. And then we've also got Andrew. There you are. Andrew came in from Kelowna. This car is double parked. So that's our team. We're going to start rolling with a bit of an introduction to who Bluzelle is, and then the goal of the hackathon, what Bluzelle is, who Bluzelle is, the goal of the hackathon, and some introduction to how you can work with us, and some of the technology and the resources that you have available to help you win and succeed at the hackathon. So first we'll start off with Neeraj. Neeraj is going to speak to what is Bluzelle, what's the problem, and how do we solve it from a high level. Neeraj?
Oh. Higher? Speak louder? Oh, okay. Normally people tell me that I speak too loud, so okay, great. So I'll keep it at our normal volume. So yeah, thank you. I'm the CTO of the company, and just going to do a quick intro to the database. So how many of you in the room are developers? Okay, great. So you've mostly used databases, you're familiar with them. If you don't know it already, Bluzelle is a decentralized database. So, you use cloud databases, you use single machine databases. What we're doing with a decentralized database is your data is now distributed all over the world, really. If you think about something like blockchain or anything kind of decentralized, there's some very special benefits here now because you're looking at things like redundancy, security, performance, and scalability. These are all the metrics that we're really aiming for with our database. So for the purposes of this hackathon, we're really proud to announce that we've come out with a beta version of our database. That's the Bluzelle daemon, the beta that's here. And the four things that we've got listed here are the daemon, the JS library, the JavaScript library, the WebSockets library, and the emulator. So the daemon is what we've actually deployed out for everyone at this hackathon to use. So Monty's going to be later on presenting and showing to you how to use the actual libraries. There's two ways to use the actual daemon. You can actually use the JavaScript library and build applications in Node.js or browser app or however you want. You also have a WebSockets library, which is more lower level. So the JavaScript library is actually built on top of the WebSockets library, and the WebSockets library is a direct interface into the daemon. So if you want to work with something other than JavaScript, you're free to use the WebSockets library. One of the things that I'm kind of looking for during the hackathon as a possible nice to have is if you can build some sort of explorer or some sort of integration. So for example, JavaScript is one of the libraries we support already. Now if you're interested in doing something in Python or C# or C++ or Ruby on Rails or whatever, you can use the WebSockets library to build your own integration into the Bluzelle database. So that's something I'd be very interested in seeing as part of the demos, if that's something you're interested in. I'm just going to talk for a second about our actual release. At the end of June, we're coming out with the final version of Lovelace, which is a single swarm version of our database. And it's going to be a public test network open to everyone in the public. It's also going to be the daemon. We're also going to have support for Neo and Ethereum smart contracts. And in fact, for the purposes of this hackathon, we're actually happy to say as a bonus that we actually have support for Ethereum now. So if you want to build smart contracts during this hackathon, a DApp that actually uses the database, you can. And Isabel, who's one of our team members, you can talk to her. She's going to be doing a presentation later about that. So I'm not going to go too much into this. The daemon right now is single swarm. Eventually, you're going to be multi-swarm. We're using something called Raft. It's a consensus model, and we modified it. So the current version we have uses a fixed whitelist of nodes to form the swarm. So we're running all the nodes right now. The JavaScript library allows you to do full read, write, CRUD, so it's create, read, update, delete of key value pairs to a single swarm database. And we have support for multi-tenancy key dumps. You can, like I said, you can do Node.js apps and web apps, and we'll have a JavaScript library that Monty will be going over for that. And this is my last slide. This is the WebSockets library. I like talking about this a lot because for us, it's about growth of the database and adapting it into other environments. So this is really the key to that, is if you're able to work with the WebSockets library directly, you can unlock the power of using Bluzelle in many other environments. So the WebSockets library gives you the baseline access to everything. CRUD access to our database. You can do all the API calls that are documented. And it gives you that low-level interface and ultimately gives you that opportunity. You can, you're really free to do anything. You can build iOS apps, Android apps. You can build your own integrations, any kind of interfaces you want. We're also looking at building integrations with other blockchains. For example, Neo and Ethereum is already being worked on. We're also going to be doing things with things like Zilliqa and Icon. So that's about it. If you have any questions about any of this, please come and talk to me or anyone else on the team. About with this idea of building a decentralized database, what got us doing this?
Yeah, on the blockchain and sort of something like the use cases that you see.
Sure. Yeah, so quick history. Bluzelle was actually started here in Vancouver in 2014. This is where we started the company. We moved our headquarters to Singapore in early 2016, and we built a KYC, Know Your Customer Enterprise product, POC for HSBC, OCBC, and MUFG, 3 big banks in Asia. Now, that particular KYC product was built on top of Ethereum and a mix of cloud services. And we were storing a lot of the data in a mix of cloud and smart contracts on Ethereum. So one of the pain points we discovered that a lot of people here are probably going to agree to is storing data on the blockchain is expensive and slow. It doesn't work very well. And it really revealed a large pain point, which is you need to have decentralized technology for storing data that can work in tandem with the web, the decentralized stack. So for those of you that have seen the meetups that I do, I have a slide where I talk about the decentralized stack, which I'm not going to show here, but basically I look at the decentralized web as a mix of having the ability to register a domain, set up a website, which some of our guys are going to talk about today, but also the ability to do decentralized CPU processing, like if you want to render things or if you want to do any kind of high-level computations, storing files to a service, and then storing database. So with the KYC, we realized there needs to be a dedicated database service that's decentralized. And for clarification, Bluzelle is not a blockchain specifically. We're not built on top of a blockchain. We're built from the ground up, and we're using swarming technology. So our database is mutable. It means your data can be changed, can be removed and deleted as you need it to be. And that's actually quite critical to meet legal and regulatory requirements. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, GDPR. We've already heard about what happened with Facebook and all these things that are going on. So it's really important for people storing data, especially for consumers, to be able to have control over that data, to be able to remove it, especially if there's a request made to